Welcome back to the High Ground Podcast. I'm very hot. It's hot here. A little discombobulated. Camera's acting kind of funky. I'm looking kind of yellow, but it's cool. It's cool. We're out here living. Have an awesome guest here. Chris, why don't you tell everyone who you are, where they can find you, and what do you do?
Sure. What's going on, everyone? My name is Chris Ryons. I'm the co-founder of Broaxium. We are a Star Wars content group. We do Star Wars comics previews every week. We have a Sunday night live show called Shooting the Poodoo, where we talk about Star Wars, we talk about Marvel, DC, and everything. It's just it's chaos for about an hour of talking. It's awesome. We do the Star Wars podcast with Ben and Jan. Those guys are like, we call them like the Star Wars easy listening podcast. And we do a little bit more. And I just started the Broaxium Outpost, which is it's a business that I started where I'll be selling toys, Star Wars stuff, Star Wars Black Series, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Masters of the Universe, Star Wars figures, Transformers, and Star Wars figures, and Star Wars stuff. We have a lot of Star Wars stuff.
I was actually planning to get every Spider-Man, Spider-Person variant that I could get from the Legends collection. And then I was like, God, I'm gonna go poor if I do this. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. So
one of the best ones is coming out, I think it's October. And I think I'm already sold out of these. It's when Doc Ock took over. And when he took Peter's body.
Superior Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah, that one. And that figure looks dope. It looks so good.
Oh man. Yeah, so I mean I got my favorite is my Ben Reilly.
That's the best Spidey
so
outfit
good.
ever. And Miles Morales exists, but the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider is the best. And I think anything with a hoodie, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. It's weird.
Right? As soon as I saw, Spider-Gwen, I was like, yeah, that works. Man. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, you guys talk a lot of Star Wars. We primarily talk Star Wars, though I am, branching out a bit here because we're about to hit the dry season. But we just had a show wrap up and haven't gotten to talk to you at all about it. So we just had the Acolyte. How you feeling overall? What are you thinking?
Hated it.
Is it good? Bad?
Hated
it?
Hated it. Of course, I loved it.
All right.
I absolutely loved it. Yeah. Loved it. Yeah, I mean, it's our first live action, even though it's at the tail end of the High Republic, it's our first live action High Republic. I thought that was amazing. The fact that this cast, and it's not throwing any shade, but it's been 40 years. So this is, it's been 47 years. So, it's about time. This is a very heavily diverse led cast. And I love that, you have these, I almost said two, because two black main characters, but it's you know what I'm saying?
It's one.
It's one. But I just love that they are, front and center in this series, and two Asian leads and everything. Dude, it's so, man, the show was that alone, the show was amazing. The heavy lore.
Yeah.
And you and Element, you guys handle the lore like mad. But like and I know you guys feel this, but the lore in this and the implications going forward and what it could mean for, like, when we get into the Phantom Menace era, everything with Palpatine and such, like it's so heavy. It's so heavy, and I love it.
Yeah. No, I was a big fan of you can tell that the writers on this one really did love Star Wars lore. There was a deep connection. And I know Pablo Hidalgo was working very closely with them on a number of things, but I get the feeling this was an easy job for Pablo. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was super excited. What was any standout parts? Anything? What was your favorite things that happened or favorite characters?
Favorite characters, it's such an ensemble show. I can't, like, to me, no one really outshines, even though I know everyone's like the Stranger and Chimera and how dope his character was and whatnot. But like, for me, it's such an awesome ensemble cast where it's tough for me to pick a favorite because everyone did their part to make this story and this show shine. If I had to pick moments, what sticks out? As a fan, I'm a big fan of Chris Cowell, and he was an action coordinator on this. He did the fight choreography. I've been a fan of his for well over 10 years. He had this action group called 1,000 Pounds. And like, he had these awesome martial artists and these very innovative, fantastic fight scenes. And the fact that he was involved in this, I was like, the fight scenes are going to be amazing. Like when they said that they wanted to match or do better than the Qui-Gon, Obi, and Maul fight, I was like, that's a tough one. And I hope you can do it. And then I found out that Chris is on it. I was like, they're going to do it. I was like, they're going to do it.
Like that had me worried when they said that, because I was like, okay, that means because they didn't say better than Battle of the Heroes, which I think this fight is better than the Battle. I don't like the Battle of Heroes fight.
Oh,
sorry.
Really?
I know a lot of people. If they stopped it at the first third, love it. But like 2/3 of that fight are nonsense to me. When swinging on ropes and climbing up stuff,
it was a little weird. I took it. I was like, I took it.
The first third of it are amazing, and then when he jumps onto the same thing as Obi-Wan, that part's amazing. But there's like a whole. Anyways, I'm getting off topic.
No. Actually, with that, and being like, for me, because I'm one of those old fans, when there were inklings of they fought over a volcano, like this when I was little, and we heard, like, my brother and I were like, oh, they fought on the volcano, and that's how Anakin or Vader loses all of his limbs in this fight. We were under the impression that as the fight progressed, he lost limbs.
Yeah.
So I was sort of expecting that. I think that would have been kind of dope. Like, like first an arm goes and he's just fighting, and then trying to fight with one leg for a bit. Tis but a flesh wound.
I mean, I'd be into that. No, the choreography and stuff is great in that fight. I don't know. The Duel of the Fates fight was so refreshing and interesting to me because it was, wildly different. Like, you had two Jedi who have very, very different fighting style, and a Sith that's using a straight up different weapon, what I mean, that we'd never seen before. And also, I mean, let's be honest, John Williams was doing some heavy lifting himself. He
put in that work on Duel of the Fates. For sure.
When it was such an un-Star Wars like song too, where we had vocals in the back and stuff. And now it changed my DNA when that song started playing, for sure. And so when that was said for this one, I was like, not only did they pick my favorite duel to say they were gonna like do more than, but also, is this going to be an ensemble duel? Are they going to be like all of the fights in the show were incredible, but especially episode 5, when we see Chimera fighting with his, with the bracer and with the helmet, and he fought unlike anything we've seen in Star Wars before, or anything. I can't think of anything that felt like that.
His fight style was so. And this is why I know he was a perfect foil for Yord. But his fight style was so frenetic, so erratic, that they couldn't. And no Jedi at that point, because the Sith hadn't been around. Who have they fought, saber to saber, in that era, they're in, or the earlier High Republic stuff. Like, no Sith. They fought Nihil, Drengir. But
I mean, that was a line that was dropped in Master and Apprentice. Like, the thought of killing another person who was fighting with a lightsaber was unheard of.
Yeah. They didn't know what to do, and I thought that was amazing with that fight. Like, there were things that were done in there that I didn't think I'd ever see. Just of course with the cortosis and shortening out the sabers and just the movements, when they're like waiting for the sabers to come back on and they just shoot. Like, I love that. But it was with Chimera's movements and just flowing under saber attacks and just his erraticness. And then the shish kebab. I was just like, when he stabbed the one, and I was like, do it. I was like, do it. Come on, somebody finally do it. I'm like, oh my God, they did it. And then he cut their heads off. That's what I wasn't prepared for. I was like, wow, okay.
No, he cleaned up that fight for sure. Actually, I will take it back. There's one other place where we see a fighting style that feels similar, and that's when Palpatine fights against Maul and Savage Opress. And if you recall how he moves, it is like a wild animal. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
has this,
Fluid, sinister.
like it's just driven by hatred and like
Yes.
not logic at all. You
Yeah.
know,
It's hate food.
yeah. And for me, it was seeing a Kyber crystal be bled.
Yes. That
I was like
I geeked.
cheering
Yeah.
at that part.
I saw it. I didn't realize in the close up when you look at it, and it's something I saw. I think they just dropped the effects artist had dropped something where like the veins in her hand are like sort of like almost like it's pouring that hatred into the crystal. So like, okay, that's kind of cool. They're going that extra step. But yeah, seeing a Crystal Bled live action, they nailed it. I thought like, and that makes me like I understand the game plan with a lot of people who are hating on it, who jump into everyone's comments for someone who says anything positive about the show. But it's to me the Acolyte is on another level, or it's just a different level, like Andor different. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I look at this series. That I hope
agree.
continues.
I agree, and yeah, it just that's the thing that makes me sad is how many people are missing out because they're so intent to find something wrong.
Yeah,
that they make up stupid. It's bad because Anakin's crystal didn't bleed when he was killing younglings, and you're like,
they didn't
that doesn't even make sense. Well, not only did they not think about was that not a thing back then, but like every time we've seen a crystal bled, they literally take it out of the lightsaber, right? In Osha's case, it was exposed, and none of them were doing anything especially sinister at the moment. Like she was actually doing the most at that time. So and to always look at things as if they're being taken away from someone is just it's just weird, right? It's a weird way to the thought that someone else might have been experimenting with this thing before Plagueis, and you're like, literally every Darksider ever. That's the only thing they do. That's literally what all of them are always trying to do.
It's like a lot of these fans, and I don't want to make this like we just crap on that side of the fandom, for 40 minutes. But it's like a lot of them think that, and it is a small chunk of time within the entirety of the Star Wars timeline is the Skywalker saga. Not everything that happens in this universe that is important happens in this 60-year chunk of time.
Yeah,
like thousands upon thousands of years. Like no one's breaking new ground, Copernicus, with this. Like there's plenty that's happened before. That just.
But not only is there more that happened before, but that's the best part. You know what I mean? You find out why there were only two Sith. That's because they follow the rule of two. Why did they follow the rule of two? Because of Darth Bane. Well, why did Darth Bane do that? Because he found ancient writings from Revan. And then there's like finding out that you did something because of past information doesn't weaken. Yeah, it's weird. But speaking of Star Wars, we got some set photos and some piece of information on Skeleton Crew, which at Star Wars Celebration of 2022, was it? The one here in Anaheim. When we went in there, they announced we finished shooting Star Wars Skeleton Crew, and I was like, I have never heard of that in my life. And you
finished what?
What are you?
I'm in.
Okay. All right. So we're finally getting some scenes from it, and it has a different vibe to it. Something I wasn't expecting out of any project. What do you think?
As someone who grew up with the Goonies as the best kids adventure movie ever, I'm so ready for Skeleton Crew because it's going to be Star Goonies, and I'm at least that's what it's looking like, and Star Goonies, Stranger Things, and I'm absolutely with it. I'm so with it. Give me as many different style Star Wars stories as possible and let this universe be as vibrant as it can be. That's why I love the Acolyte too. I love that you can have a story like Andor, where it's not depressing, but I mean it's grounded, hyper political.
It's not uplifting.
It is not. You don't walk away from an episode of Andor like, oh man, yeah, hope. But it's almost weird to think, you have a show like Andor, and in that same universe, you get something as something that's happening in, with the Jedi and the
Yeah,
Sith, or anything
like
that's, you know what I mean? Like
you get riding in the belly of a space whale across to a new galaxy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's all in that same universe. It's weird to think of that, like that shows that there's so many varied storytelling ways to go about telling a story, like in the Star Wars universe, and it just makes that universe, like I said, it just makes it more vibrant and more open to all different style stories. Like, why stick to just what you see in the original trilogy? As great as it is, there's more that can be done to make it all
Yeah, I mean,
gel.
what's more than that is I don't think they're ever going to outdo the original trilogy, and I don't think they should try. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you can make great adventure movies, but I mean the universe that was introduced is so big and broad, like you said, that you could tell just about any type of story in here. And the way when George was cooking up Star Wars, the thing he wanted to do was he was like, what happened to the swashbuckling and the cowboys and the samurai from when I was growing up? And I love that we can take that ideology forward, because what happened to films like The Goonies? Like, do you think that would be made now? What happened to these just family adventure movies where you have a bunch of, because I don't know, growing up, I remember I remember we had like movies like First Kid. You remember that? Where it was like
I think so.
Kid of the President.
Yeah.
We had with Sinbad. It was like a Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
We had, what was it called, where the kid broke his arm and then he could throw baseballs really fast? Did you remember? My goodness.
No, that sounds very familiar. We could have an Air Bud type Star Wars story. Why not?
Yeah, but like, there's a bunch of movies I grew up with when I was little, and I was like, man, I wish I could, like, we don't get stuff like this anymore.
Right.
And
True.
I don't think it's because it's not valuable or not able to be done. I think as a storytelling medium, things evolved, and then we just stopped doing the earlier thing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm really excited about it. Plus, we have a lot of the kids in there are aliens too, which give me more aliens in Star Wars, and I'm happy.
What's the one kid's name? Mini Rebo? Like, if you got Max Rebo, you gotta have like minimum Rebo.
Minimum Rebo. I like that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like I saw on their little speeder bikes, they got tassels on the handlebars. I was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
E.T. Adventures, Stand By Me and stuff.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, Stand By Me.
And also, this is home for Kathleen Kennedy as well. So I think that's because she did all of those movies. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. But they'll find a way to blame her for this. I feel I am so cautious for these children for when this series comes out, and I hope there are boundaries. I hope that some of these goofballs know boundaries and let these children just be, because we saw what happened with Jake Lloyd. That's the last thing we need to see happen again.
Yeah, I mean, and we had at least with the Acolyte, Amanda is no stranger, because they did this to her when she was playing Rue.
True.
Like,
very
Rue's
true.
not supposed to be black, and you're like, no, she's black.
She's totally black.
Read the book. Yeah, actually, Katniss isn't supposed to be white, but we don't have to talk about that.
Hollywood.
But outside of Star Wars 2, we also got things popping off. Wolverine Deadpool just dropped. I'm curious how you felt. By the way, for anyone listening, watching, we haven't talked about any of these. I haven't seen any of your thoughts on social media. My head has been down trying to cook up videos, but yeah, how did the movie hit you?
First and foremost, I am a DC guy. I'm a DC Comics guy. I dig the MCU. I take it back. I love the MCU, but DC for me is where it's at. So I'm so I guess it's been out for a while, so I'm spoil it. When Henry came, it hurt for a second, but I was like, this is cool. This is cool. I still wish it was Soups, but that was
Wolverine.
this it was a blast of the past kind of thing, with the different variants and the callbacks and whatnot, and then Blade.
That
I was like, this is an MCU movie because just the profanity and everything they just let go on this. I'm like, this isn't. I'm like, this is Disney signed off on this. I'm like, are we sure that Disney signed off on this? But they went for it and it paid off. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was so fun. It was so fun.
I mean, some people always trying to ice skate uphill, man.
Hey, I can't tell you how I cheered. I cheered when Wesley Snipes popped up. I was so very happy. I geeked when Channing Tatum showed up as Gambit. I was like, finally, we get to see it on screen. Like, for real,
it was so good.
Yeah, he did good.
I feel robbed. They leaned into the accent and all this stuff, which is something that comic book movies have been afraid to do. That's why, Black Widow doesn't speak with a Russian accent for some reason.
Black Adam.
Just The Rock.
I love The Rock. I love The Rock. I was a huge Rock fan as far as the old WWE days. So, bro, you got to work on your accents. I mean, I was like, okay, maybe he learned his lesson, with not doing it in Scorpion King, that he will give it a shot for some kind of a Middle Eastern accent with this one. No, I'm Black Adam. I'm from the Middle East. How's it going?
You came out of the past. You've been around for one day.
Come on.
Did they talk like a smart back then? Is that where it came from? You go to ancient times, like, do you smell what I am cooking?
Eyebrows.
Gambit did, like, the way he fought and all the stuff I thought was superb. I thought his face looked enormous inside of the mask.
Yes, he was struggling because I'm like, this was made for a younger Channing Tatum. This is even pre-Duke Channing Tatum. This is
you look like Bodog.
His face was struggling to get out of that thing.
Also, I loved getting Daphne Keane back into the mix as well.
Yeah.
I'm still a major proponent. I mean, I love having her in the Acolyte and to have her, be able to do both. That's super awesome. I'm still a big proponent that I think she should just be our Wolverine going forward. Because I mean that's what happens in the comics.
True.
Wolverine dies and becomes a statue, and she's just our Wolverine for a while. Yeah. She even gets her own little clone and a honey badger as a little companion.
I was hoping the one thing I was hoping is two things. I was hoping to see out of this movie. Is Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine, and for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I was especially when there's that fight against all those different Deadpool, variants, doppelgangers. Was if you're a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 fan, to hear him say Berserker Barrage and just like start slicing up, these Deadpools, that I think that would have taken everything over the top for me. They didn't do it, but it was still amazing.
They did have some great Easter eggs, though. I mean, I would have loved it if, I don't know, maybe they go to a club and you hear the music and like, I'm going to take you for a ride.
That would have been great.
That would have been great. That fight scene, there was a sign in the back that says Liefeld's feet. I just took me out for a minute. I'm like, how do you be such a big artist but not be able to draw proportions or feet?
Yeah.
He's
got some of his side that cap, like that side profile where his pecs were like not from this earth. Like the head didn't match anything. Like just delts and pecs were just like ridiculously huge.
Someone took Cap's head and put it on the back of a refrigerator. That's what that picture looks like.
There it is. It's done. You print that.
But overall, though, I love the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. My hot take that I've been spreading around is the Acolyte was better written than Deadpool vs. Wolverine. that's not what we were at that movie to see, right? Yes, it still had a lot of the MCU nonsense that has been kind of holding it back in my opinion, and just because you call it out as, in the movie doesn't negate that it's happening still.
Yeah.
You can make fun of the MacGuffin in the movie, but it's still a weird MacGuffin, and I don't know. I still think it's a struggle for a lot of things. So for me, I actually put it, and it's going to sound bad, but I really did love it. And I love the movie I'm about to say. It reminded me of Venom, the first Venom movie, where
the
relationship between Eddie and Venom, it's the relationship. That's the amazing part. That's the part that you enjoy, is these two characters and their interactions together in what everything else is being kind of a mediocre movie,
Yeah.
At least in the case of Venom, it was like what would have been a good movie in 2002. Yeah, this one was a messy current phase a Marvel movie, but had great cameos and great interactions between the two titular characters.
And that was bread and butter. Was the cameos and whatnot. And like that stuff hit. That stuff, hit in special places for a lot of fans. But yeah, for me, still like my favorite MCU anything head and shoulders for me above Endgame and all that stuff. Cap 1 and 2 and Falcon Winter Soldier. That to me is,
Yeah.
But what's happening now, outside of us not being able to get the Kang stuff for, reasons, it's finally starting to really, really look like Marvel now with Fantastic Four coming in, with Doctor Doom coming in. And bringing in the X stuff. I've got feelings about this, about the Robert Downey Jr. thing. I got feelings.
You got it. Let's hit it real quick.
It's, to me, it started out for me just like it's typical stunt casting, and it's typical MCU stunt casting was having him in there, and it was also like we need to write. Maybe it's like they feel like they need to write the ship. Let's bring some. To me, they did a Nintendo thing. Like whenever Nintendo comes out with a new system or something like that, they're like, "Here's Mario Brothers. Remember that?" Like so. That's part of how I looked at it. But there have been Doom, Iron Man, Stark, connections in the comics in the past. As long as this is leading to Doom proper, cool. As long as it's leading, all right. Even though I don't want to say wasted this actor in the MCU, but they used him and killed him off. But if they could bring back Mads Mikkelsen as been anything with Robert Downey Jr. playing him or playing a version of him, fine by me. As long as they do Doom proper, and it's someone of the same kind of stature, or if not, actually Mads Mikkelsen playing them.
Yeah, I mean, Doctor Doom is my favorite comic book character. I love Doctor Doom, and so it hurts me to see this because most of the people who are weighing in on it are people who don't care about Doctor Doom, and so, which, by the way, is totally valid. You don't care about the character, and you're happy to get your boy back, and I get it. This character has meant so much to Marvel. This is also Stan Lee's favorite character, which is why he talks like Stan Lee, with the gravitas and the imposing size and all this stuff. I can't help but feel like it's shooting yourself in the foot in every way possible, right? Because people love Robert Downey Jr. for being himself. He was the perfect person to cast as Iron Man because his personal life kind of matched up with a lot of stuff, and people loved how he played Iron Man, and so to put him back into the MCU is to me, either people are going to want him to act like he did before, which isn't Doom, or he's going to act completely different, which is not going to be what the people wanted him to do or see. And so you're like, well then what, And I don't want to. I prefer Marvel, but I'm a pre-MCU Marvel fan. Just to give you an idea. I love DC as well, but what they did, the DC EU as we refer to it, is they gave us certain comics are really awesome because really break the status quo of a character. Right? We put them in a situation that they are not typically in, and that's what makes that comic special. That only works if you have a status quo, right?
Yeah.
You can only give me give me a variant of a character, cool. But if you've never given me the actual character, that's not a variant.
Yeah.
You know? Also, I'm gonna need people to stop mentioning Infamous Iron Man when talking about this, because that's not what that comic is about. You haven't read it. If you say that, you haven't read it. That's all it means. I don't know. Which is still one of my favorite Legends, Marvel Legends collectibles is my Infamous Iron Man, because I really enjoyed this comic where Victor Von Doom comes back and decides he wants to be a hero, and so he takes over the mantle of Iron Man because Tony Stark is deadish. During that period, he was just an AI in Riri Williams' suit. Yes, there was stuff that happens,
Like one of the other things that I'm not worried about. I got bigger problems to be worried about things like that. That mask it's going to be off all the time, isn't it?
That's like the one thing is you should always be wearing the mask. Yeah.
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 If Thor can't even wear the hat, you know what I mean? Like if he can't,
it'll be like the first Judge Dredd movie.
Who needs this?
Yeah, I don't know. But, how do you feel about what DC? I mean, so you are a big DC fan primarily. So let's talk about DC, and also if you can go into how you got into this, how your livelihood is selling nerd stuff online and doing all this stuff, which is freaking awesome. Yeah, how'd you become a nerd? Where did this come from? And if you could wrap it up with how you're feeling about DC moving forward.
How I got into being a nerd and a geek, I was born. I was born. That's what my life was. I mean, like Star Wars came out when I was 2 years old. That was it. I remember my dad had a bootleg film reel of Star Wars. We used to play it on our wall like all the time. All the cartoons back in the day. Like growing up in the late 70s into the 80s, man, the amount of geek stuff that we got as far as kids goes. Geez, Saturday morning cartoons, all those different ones, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Real Ghostbusters.
Why has Gargoyles not gotten some type of a reboot? Come on.
What are they waiting for?
It's right there. It's so easy.
Yeah, but I just like, for me, like I like to think of it like as far as Star Wars goes and why I'm still a fan to this day and why it still excites me is that I've never lost my childlike wonder for Star Wars. And that's the case with like almost every thing, like I said before, Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Thundercats, all that stuff. It's the same feeling. I never grew out of it. I may have grown up.
No.
But I never grew out of that stuff. Like that stuff stayed with me. So yeah, so I just, I've gone through the 80s of being made fun of because I was like, 5th and 6th grade and I'm still, talking about Star Wars or have my Star Wars figures or something like that. And I just never stopped being a fan of any of that stuff. I tried to like be cool later on in high school, whatnot, but behind closed doors, I'm like, Ninja Turtles was about to air. I think for the first time they were doing a primetime showing of the Ninja Turtles cartoon. All my friends are like, "Yo, we're going to the big basketball game. It's like a championship game and whatnot at our high school." And I was like, I got to do something for my mom. I'm going to be there soon. I'll be there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, because I had a similar story where, and for a long time I was considered cool, at least cool-ish, right? As a skateboarder and a musician, and doing all this stuff, and didn't talk about any of this stuff with people. Right. But it never left me. I never enjoyed it any less. I'd be sitting there like as an adult, like, man, I wish I had my Legos still. You know what I mean? Like, and then I remember I was like, unless I was 22 or 23, I was living up in Portland, Oregon, And it was something similar where like some the people they were going downtown and gonna do a big night of hitting riding the max to the downtown and going to all these clubs and all this stuff. But at that time, I found an emulator for Pokemon Fire Red, and I was like,
I can't go out.
"Nah, man, I'm about to fight Gary," and like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what it's
gotta
like.
prepare for Gary, you know, and
That's what it's like,
just
man. Like
that's what geek life is.
I was on the football team. I was a dancer back in high school. I had singing groups and dance groups and things like that. So I was doing shows and doing little dance competitions. Like, me and my dance crew, it sounds so goofy. Me and my dance crew were like like we were like the big men on campus at this club that we used to go to every Sunday night, that sort of thing. I was still like nerded up at home when no one could see me, you know?
You know what's funny? I mean, you say singing dance crew. I just now that I know you're from Philly, I'm just like back in school we used to dream. That's all.
What it
That's all
was.
fiction.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's all you need. You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. As far as how I got into doing what I'm doing now, I've been in retail forever, and I used to help run a video rental store back in the night. Worked at Tower Records for a number of years, different jobs here and there, that sort of thing. And in my last 20 years, I've been working for Atomic City Comics in Philadelphia, selling comics, selling toys, that sort of thing, and that's all like right up my alley. When it came to a point where I'm like, I want to do this for me and do what I want to do instead of working under someone. And that's no shade to, the comic shop or anything like that. It's just, I wanted to do my own thing. It was time. It was time. And like, what better way to do my own thing than to do it with that thing that I know so well? And that's these toys and that's these different properties and things like that. Like when if you go on broaxiumoutpost.com, cheap plug, and you look on like a lot of the figures that I have there, and like in the description, I'll have a little quote from it, or I'll have something that like just like that'll give you like a little shot of the character, or something like that. Like I have something for Jackie up there where it'll say like have her figure and have the price for pre-order with all that stuff, and then it'll say like, "Oh Jackie, the holes you've left in our heart, dot dot dot. I'll let myself out." You know what I mean? Like it'll be things like that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like that's one thing I love about doing this is I can put my own personal touch on this and really show my geeky side with the merchandise that we have coming out. So I'm super excited.
Do we have a Black Series Chimera coming out, Stranger coming out soon?
No. Every now and again, like my distributors will do like this call with me where I am ordering stuff sight unseen. And they'll give me code names for different things. And like the one that we just did, I was like, either this is Acolyte, like the rest of the Acolyte waves, or this is Skeleton Crew. I don't know what I'm ordering. I had no idea what I was ordering. Luckily, it was Vernestra Rowe and IG, the IG-12 with Grogu and Basil and all the vintage collection figures and Ahsoka Perdea and all that stuff. But yes, so far, the only Chimera thing we're getting is the helmet, and that comes out, I think, later this month.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go on there as well. What was it? The Broaxium Outpost?
Broaxium Outpost.
Awesome. I will definitely be checking it out, and because I still need that Jaina Solo Black Series.
That I do not have, but I can see if I can get that for you. I'm looking around for that so I can find that. So
if you find it, let me know. Yeah, I need it. Awesome. Well, I mean, we're getting towards the end. You say you're a big DC fan. What are you excited about from DC popping up? Also, do you dabble in anime? Because we've been getting, My Adventure with Superman is on that cusp. We got Suicide Squad Isekai coming out. Curious how you feel about those and what's going on with DC.
Well, for DC, what I'm looking forward to, the answer is yes, absolutely all of it. The little behind the scenes stuff that we got from this the Supes movie, I'm absolutely geeking about. The fact that we get Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner, like a lot of those characters is so dope. I love what they're doing with Supergirl, which is something similar to what they what they're doing in the My Adventures with Superman. As far as like her being with Brainiac, but this will be it's just that she's going to be so different from anything that we've seen live action. And I know that the comic that it's loosely based off of, so I'm really excited to see that.
By the way, bring back Young Justice. You can't tease me at the end of Young Justice like you did. Oh my god, that.
And we're probably not, because James Gunn is doing his thing, and I'm like, cool, make it all fit, make it all work. I'm all about it. But Elseworlds that, please, and give us some more Young Justice, because that was next level. And I'm a sidekicks kind of guy. Young Justice, Titans, that's where I'm at. Like, Superman is my all-time favorite comic book hero. Nightwing is my number 2. Batman's cool.
Okay.
Nightwing is my number 2. Like whenever those two get together to do something, I'm like, this was made just for me. So yeah. I'm excited for all that. For DC. Whatever's coming for the the DC animated and hopefully DC shows and things like that. I just started watching the new Batman animated series.
Haven't started yet, but Cape Crusader.
Yeah, Cape Crusader. It's damn good. It's damn good. As far as anime goes, I'm an old school otaku. So, we're talking Fist of the North Star, Akira,
Vampire Hunter D,
Wicked City, Wings of Oniamis, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, anything from that era. Anything, if you look at anything from Streamline Pictures, the anime stuff that they had, Detonator Oregon, Orgus, Fatal Fury animated movies, Street Fighter 2 animated film.
That was really good.
Oh, it was spectacular. I think my all-time favorite is probably, it's Fist of the North Star and Ranma One Half, which are two on completely different ends of the spectrum right there. As far as they're both martial arts based, stories. One is a comedy, a gender bending comedy, and the other one is end of the world, post apocalyptic, heads exploding martial arts action. So that's where I'm from with it. And nowadays I haven't watched too much unless whatever comes out new for Dragon Ball. And I'm a Naruto fan, and I'm loving Boruto, and especially the manga that's out right now. So I'm heavily waiting for whatever animated series comes next for that.
I love, because that tells me enough right there that you like the methodical. It can take its time telling the story,
yes.
But you like to spend your time in the world. Like, I don't get the Boruto hate, because
I understand it.
No, there was this part where I was like, you know what? These side things feel like they're going on long. They feel like they're going on long, but then they tied it with him trying to prevent that war. I cried at the end of that, and the only reason I got that was because I watched all of this stuff that led up to that point, with him experiencing loss, and then your people fight back, and then they lose people, and then it escalates, and it's pointless. And I wept.
I don't know. I don't know if some of these and I know these younger fans. It's like they need everything pop, and they get their stuff in there. The original, it's not as good. It's not worthy, or something like that, because it's not this. It can't be good, and that's just that's
you
unhealthy
go back
thinking.
and rewatch the original, and the battle at the Valley for the End was 12 episodes, and we saw the same flashback every 30 seconds.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, talk no jutsu, as they call it. You had to have a whole bunch of that in there.
I loved it, but if I have to watch Itachi flick Sasuke's head one more time, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. Not today, Sasuke. I'm like, not ever. Come on, just.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming, for talking to me. I super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but anything else you want to plug or talk about, and also to remind everyone where they can find you and everything you're into?
Sure. You know, you can always check me out on Broaxium, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. We do the Star Wars comics previews every week. This week we've got Star Wars Inquisitors #2 from Rodney Barnes. We've got Kevin Scott's The High Republic #10. I think this is the last one for this run, for this phase 3 run. I think he's doing more after this. We've also got Daniel Jose Older's High Republic Adventures this week. It's gonna be beautiful. That's coming out. We'll have a Shooting the Poodle will be back next week. So definitely check us out. So at Broaxium for that. And then definitely check out Broaxium Outpost. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Definitely go to our website. Check out the site. Sign up for the Bounty Hunters Guild, where you'll get 10% off your first purchase. We'll have news on there. We'll have different like little articles and whatnot that I'll be putting up there. All the merch is up there for you to check out. We have a ton of Star Wars figures, a ton of Marvel. We'll have more DC figures and accessories, play sets, role plays as far as like lightsabers and helmets and masks and things like that. So definitely check us out.
Awesome. All right, I appreciate it. And for everyone else watching at home, thank you for checking this out. There's a lot more to come, and we're gonna keep talking to awesome people, and hopefully, introducing you to some more amazing Star Wars fans who are fantastic to talk about the Star Wars and everything else. But until next time, may the Force be with you always.